let's just start. And let me say hello and welcome again. My name is Untitled. I am originally from Croatia and Austria, living in Seattle right now. I'm a book author and a journalist. And last year I launched a podcast called Thank You, Mama. And our panel today got this name. I'm very proud to pass my name on. So I'm in my podcast, I'm interviewing women from all around the world about the most valuable lessons they learned from their mothers. And by now I've conducted interviews with women from literally all around the world. I'm very, very excited to interview you today. We are here today in this Thank You Mama panel to talk about a topic that's so dear to my heart because my mom was a working mom, a mom with 2 careers. I am a working mom. I talk to so many moms right now for Thank You Mama. And I know, and it always honestly blows my mind that with all the advancements and changes we've seen recently, with a better position for women in many, many societies in the world, and with a better financial security, and with more technological advancements, I have a washing machine which washes laundry for me. We are still struggling being working mothers. So I'm very, very excited to talk to you about this today. And I'm very excited Nicole is here because I would like to spread this conversation a little wider and try covering mothers from other countries in the world. So welcome. I was planning to introduce you ladies, but I think it would be better if each one of you introduces themselves and talks about themselves and their work a little bit for the beginning. Lindsey, do you want to start?
Sure. My name is Lindsey Michaels. I am based in Charlotte, North Carolina. I am the Chief Marketing Officer and co-founder of Executive Doula Agency alongside my wonderful partner, Janelle, who you'll be hearing from. And I am so excited to be a part of this panel and talk about this because, like you, I am just in awe of working mothers, and I love to tell my story because then I get a story in return. And it just, the more we talk about it, the more we share about it, the more we realize how we're in it together. And I think for so long, moms, I don't want to say suffered in silence, but they kind of did, and they just didn't realize how this network of support is really out there. And now that we all get a chance to talk about it and we get platforms like this to talk about it, we can be there for each other and we can advocate for each other. And it's just really special. And I feel really grateful to be here today to do that.
Thank you, Lindsey. Nicole, tell us about yourself.
Okay. Hi, my name is Nicole Montero, and I am currently based in the Philadelphia area, and I am a working mom. I am a mother of 2, a wife. I'm a licensed psychologist, and I'm a university professor. So I feel like I have a lot of different roles, and I do what we do as women, which is wear many hats and sort of am able to do many different things. And I think of how I've learned to optimize that skill from my own mom, which is like to, I don't want to call it multitasking because it's not doing everything at once, but it's having the ability to do different things. And I have had the opportunity to work and travel all over the world and observe. I love your podcast, Anna, because the concept of what can we learn from mothers and women all over the world about balance, about community, about support. What are their challenges? What are our challenges? And so I've just learned so much about myself as a woman, as a mother, as a wife, as a professional through my travels. So yeah, I'm really eager to get into this topic and talk on this panel about it and my own story as well.
Thank you, Nicole. Janelle, let's hear from you.
My name is Janelle Lynch, and I am the founder of Executive Doula Agency, along with my partner, Lindsey Michaels. And just kind of real quick about Executive Doula and what that is and the birth of that. So Lindsey and I both have a background in the finance industry, actually. I spent over a decade in the private equity industry helping women with access to capital. And what I found is that they were having an issue with retention. Why couldn't firms keep women once they had children and decided to come back to work? Why aren't women getting promoted and they're deciding to tap out of the industry? So I became very intrigued with that issue because we need more women in not only finance, but all, areas in different industries. So I personally became a doula to help them with their pregnancy, labor, but more importantly, focus on postpartum. And that's kind of how the concept of executive doula was born, until I realized, we can do this on a bigger level, at a bigger scale, and not just on an individual basis, but on a corporate level. And so essentially that's how Executive Doula was born. And I'm also a mother of 4 who has worked across finance, sports, politics, and entertainment. I've had a different child in each industry. So I've seen the hurdles that women have had to overcome in the workplace. And I just truly believe that you can not just survive in your career, that you can really thrive with the right support and the right resources in the network. And the foundation of my support was my mother. So I love the name of your podcast, because she was essentially the person who was like, no, you can raise kids and have a successful career. And she recently just retired, so she's even more engaged in me surviving and thriving as an entrepreneurial mother of 4. So I'm excited about this conversation. I look forward to getting engaged.
Thank you. I wanted to start with the basic question, which I already shot through the emails at you guys. I wanted to ask you, in your opinion, what challenges working mothers today are facing? Because I'd like to create this space for our conversation onwards.
I went last, so I won't start.
Okay. Well, I would say that sort of what you started with, Anna, which is we've had all of this amazing progress and technological advancement and so forth, but we still can't find ways to support mothers in real, tangible human ways. So we can't seem to have workplaces that value families or the specific timeframes and lifestyle, supports that working mothers would need. It wasn't really until COVID that we saw how we could use technology to help create the type of balance. Now, of course, for many of us now, everyone's at home and kids aren't in school. And so that's a challenge. But COVID forced us to see that, no, we could use technology to help create better work-life balance for mothers. So I think one of the challenges is just not keeping, our will as a society maybe is not keeping up with our capacity to help support and provide that social network, that sense of, just support. That's the key thing that mothers have. And I think that's been the challenge, is that we as a society haven't always stepped up to that.
And just to add to that, I feel like the word support always jumps to my head first. And then secondarily, it's an understanding. It's a mindset that most of the world, and especially men, have in the workplace as far as management goes and things like that, that they don't really understand what these working moms are going through and what it means to give birth and what it means to recover, and not taking maternal mental health disorders seriously, which I also feel like over COVID, it's the first time that I really hear people openly acknowledging and speaking about the toll that mental health disorders have, right? Being depressed and isolated and things like that during COVID. Now people are starting to take it more seriously, but really, moms go through this all the time. Every time we give birth, that's something that we have to deal with. And leaving your children and coming back to the workplace and not feeling like anyone understands you, that they feel like you just went on a 3-month vacation, or, you don't feel like you can use your actual parental benefits that are offered to you because of the stigma, of like a man doesn't have to do that. So you feel scared to do it, that it will threaten your career or the progress in your career. So, and then coming back and not even getting the proper benefits and support and care, not even having it available to you. I remember when I came back from my first, I don't think I mentioned that. I'm a mother of one, almost two. When I came back, they didn't even have anywhere for me to pump. They bought me like a rolling wall for my desk. I mean, it was like, you come back and you're so uncomfortable. You're so out of sorts. You don't feel supported and you don't feel understood. And I think that that's a huge, one of the secondary issues that come from that lack of support.
And the only thing I'll say to kind of sum that up, what is missing and what has been missing prior to COVID is empathetic leadership. The culture was not built for women because of the lack of empathetic leadership. And until that changes, and until we can reach that level of change in individuals' mindset, we will continue to have the challenges and have to navigate these unconscious and conscious biases that women deal with, even after COVID.
Mm-hmm. Ladies, because coming from Europe, where mothers have on average a paid year of paid maternity leave, they get, I think in Austria, they get €1,500 a month just for the sake of having had a baby. They have, flexible jobs. When they come back, they can choose to work flexible part-time, all these things that don't exist in the US. My question, and this is my very personal question, is why are the women in this country not out there on the streets demanding this? We are constantly talking about, and you guys work with businesses and trying to explain to businesses what they should be doing to meet mothers' needs. But we know that businesses think about business, businesses think about profits. How can we expect this social change? And now we've seen last summer and this past year that it's possible. If we feel strongly about an important and fair cause, we can create social change. Where are mothers' voices in this country? When are women going to get support?
So I think because of COVID, and we have a new administration in place who have heightened that conversation, elevated. For the first time, we've really seen a vice president and a president who has openly celebrated Black Maternal Health Week. Let's start with that. And part of that conversation was unpaid maternity leave. Like the fact that you go out on leave and it's really short-term disability. I'm not disabled. I had a baby. And if you work for a company where you're not drawing disability, you're not getting paid anything. So if you look at hourly jobs where women have to return back to work, Lindsey and I talk about this all the time. There are companies where women will return back to work a week after having a baby, or 6 or 7 days because they can't afford to not work their hourly jobs. So I think the voices, they have been there, but they haven't been as loud and they haven't been elevated. It's starting to come to the forefront a little bit more at the federal level. There are lots of great organizations who have been fighting this fight for decades. When I was in politics, I used to work for Senator Hillary Clinton when she was a senator. And this was one of her platforms. I mean, we fought hours after hours, days after days for this. But as you can imagine, when you're dealing with other parties of Congress who don't care about this, but they just try to silence your voice. So women have been fighting for this for years. And it's sad, like you say, businesses are about the business. So until we can prove, and it's one of the things that EDA does, we don't talk about the good of our service in supporting women. We actually talk about how it impacts your bottom line when you don't do good. like when it hits you in your pockets, the cost when one woman leaves who is at the senior management level, you have a $200,000 problem. So why don't you spend the money to proactively support them than reactively lose money and profit?
That's such a great point, because I think even on the broader societal level, a lot of times Americans are afraid of taxes without or higher taxes or whatever, without recognizing that initial investment, social investment, will pay off. Talking about maternal mental health, right? Just hearing that a woman would have to go back to work 6 days, 6 weeks, even 6 months after giving birth, one of the hardest things that your body will go through, and that we already see evidence that it takes a year to recover, just physically. So I wonder if, like this idea, like you all said, of mindset, and if we could accept the mindset that if we invest in women, we're actually increasing the bottom line for the entire society. Because a woman that goes back into the workplace after a couple of weeks, believe me, she's going to be out again. She's going to be taking sick leave.
Absolutely. She is not going to be your top employee.
100%. 100%.
Never. Yep. Yes.
Yeah. We talk about that a lot too. When we initially explain our services to companies, just saying, like, if you want, I understand you want your employee to come back and work, and that's why you're trying, the stigma is to, kind of rush her back to work, like, 3 months is enough, 2 months is enough, or nothing, but you're not going to get a highly functioning employee when you bring her back. And the risk of maternal mental health disorders is going to skyrocket, which means she's going to be even less functional. And it just makes no sense to me why no one would want to invest in the prevention of that, especially with how much, the society is focused on the diversity of your employees, right? You want to retain these women. It makes you look good from a PR standpoint, and because they're amazing. But, when you're talking to a business, you have to appeal to their business side, right? Like, this makes you look good. This will attract top talent. This will, and then they will stick around and they will grow and they will make you more profitable. And, just going back to your initial question, I just can't imagine what the rest of the world thinks about when they look at us as one of the most powerful countries in the entire world. And we sit alongside, I think, Papua New Guinea as the only 2 countries that don't offer any federal paid leave. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It makes my jaw drop every time I think about it. I can't imagine what the rest of the world must think about us when they hear it for the first time.
Leave in childcare. A mother can't go back to work after a year, even after a year, if she doesn't have free childcare. Most of the times women need free childcare because they can't afford the childcare is so expensive in this country. And
competitive. I mean, I was looking for childcare well before my son was even born, because I knew I was going to be on a 9 to 12 month wait list.
Yep.
And that's actually, in addition to paid leave, childcare is actually one of the top reasons why women do leave the workforce. I remember with my third child, at one point we had 2 kids in daycare and 1 in a private school. And when we did our taxes at the end of the year, it was like, why are we both working? Because one of our paychecks solely going to childcare. And we were living in the DC metro area, which is very high for basic, like your just kind of basic economical center. It's very expensive. So that is another issue that has to be addressed in order to continue to retain top talent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Lindsey and Janelle, I'm curious, because you work with businesses, has this situation of working from home now for a year and more flexibility, do you think this will soften the businesses towards more flexibility for mothers?
I think it has started to address the problem. So where before, businesses knew it was there, we've been talking to them before COVID, but it wasn't a top priority. And I think what COVID did was expose the cracks, and it opened their eyes to, oh my gosh, women are actually managing a lot. And part of that I found is because men are at home with the women. So these men who are running companies or who are in senior leadership are like sitting in their bedroom on a laptop because they got kids running around making noise and they got babies crying. And they're like, oh my God, how does my wife does this? Like, how do women do this? So I think being forced into recognizing the issue, dealing with it at home and in the workforce, it's pushing their buttons a little bit more, like we have to figure this out. And flexibility is important. I mean, with some clients, we've done educational sessions just around how to manage the mental load, how to allow flexibility, even when people are working from home, because you have babies and toddlers and school-age kids and people being at home virtually. They still need flexibility. They can't work a 9 to 5 with a full house of kids on their regular schedule. So I think it has definitely opened their eyes, and we'll start to see more change because people have opened up a little bit easier to the conversation than before.
And I think at a minimum, it has removed a stigma that working from home is just, I'm taking a day off, and people are finally getting the chance to prove their credibility. Like, hey, I'm working from home. I'm productive. I have kids at home that are virtual learning or toddlers running around or babies crying, and I'm still getting all of my work done. So it's forced employers to acknowledge that. I know, especially in finance, that there is a huge stigma that, working from home means that you're not working at all.
Working.
Right. Like we need to be babysat or something. So, I think it's helped in that sense too, just removing very antiquated stigmas of working from home, especially in these companies that the older generation runs, because they didn't come up this way. They don't respect technology the same way that the younger generation does. So I think it's at least brought some acknowledgement, some respect to the fact that flexibility does not lower productivity, it raises it.
Mm-hmm.
I would add to that. We actually, it made me think about a client, Lindsey. We had the one woman who gave birth, whose boss was not of the generation of technology. And so we really had to work with our client just around using language to explain to her boss that when I go on maternity leave, I'm actually still going to be disconnected from technology. Because now it's the thought that, everyone's at home and you're connected to a computer, even though you had a baby on maternity leave, you can still connect. So really still helping women find their voice and advocate for themselves when they're supposed to take a break, when they're supposed to take leave, because there's still some people who, like Lindsey said, I think earlier, don't understand what maternity leave is. Like, you're not on a vacation, and because you're at home and you can work from home from technology, no, you're not going to do that. It's time for you to recuperate and for you to spend time with your baby. So I think there's still a lot of areas in which needs to be a change in mindset that we're helping some of our clients work through.
To jump a little, I was planning to ask this much later, but I think very nice fits into this conversation about men. Because most of us are mothers, because there is a man somewhere. And that we have to, as I think, Janelle, you mentioned it, now when they worked from home, now they saw what we deal with on a day basis. Now they finally witnessed it. This COVID was a gift to us in that way, that it made men witness what women are balancing and dealing with. Apart from COVID, what else can we do to make them aware of this? Like, you know what I mean? How can we influence men, and how can we change men, and how can we open them towards understanding what being a working mother means, and how they can support us? Lindsey, I'm sorry, you are muted because of the kids in your background. So if you want to talk, please unmute yourself.
Nope. I'm going to stay on mute for this.
Okay. I was going to say, I think this also ties to the end of the last topic we were talking about. And I think helping women to find and establish healthy boundaries is a key to this, because we talked about finding voice, being disconnecting, being able to say, no, I'm not available at this time. And I think part of when you have healthy boundaries, you're able to let people know when you're available and when you're not. And when you're not available, people start to understand all that you contribute and all that you do. So you ask, like, how can we help them to understand? Well, the proof is in the pudding, and they will understand when you're not there doing 100 million things at once, because you have those boundaries that say, no, I'm off the clock now, or my time is up, or I've done this and I've done that. And so just the same way that COVID helped people to, men, as you say, to see what it's like in the trenches of home life. I think when women start and continue to have healthy boundaries, that establishes a way to clearly outline all that she's contributing, all that she's doing. And I think that's one way that, men would understand.
Absolutely. And another way, and something that I've been thinking about this even before I started Executive Doula, is cultivating allyship. And what I mean by that is listening to men's birth stories. Let them talk about parenting. Normalize them talking about what it is to be a father to other men, to women. Talk about it in the workplace. So always in my career, I always set the expectation that my kids are a priority. So if I have a major conflict, a doctor's appointment with a child, a kids event I need to go to, I will happily and unapologetically say, I can't do it at this time, I have to go because I have X, Y, and Z. But I will also make the point to ask men about their children, about what grades they're in. Tell me about the birth story when they were born. Make it comfortable. And it's something that we do even more at Executive Doula is our service aren't just for women, it's also for the men. Because I recognize it's such a separation in the corporate space of men normalizing talking about birth where it's uncomfortable to the point where they're not going to understand what a woman is going through because they don't even want to talk about it. So I think the first step, another step in that, is getting them to talk about it, like getting them to talk about it and understand and cultivate that conversation, that relationship, and make it normal.
Yeah, I was going to say something very similar to that, bringing them into the conversation, whether, it's personally, professionally. And I think we do a really good job of that at Executive Doula. And one big part of our service is our year one education programs, where we tailor them to what the company needs, but we really want to make sure that men are included on some of these sessions and that they're, we're not just going in there journey classes or something so female specific. We want the men to participate, and we want them to understand what women are going through. And we want them to understand the conscious and unconscious biases that they possess that they might not even realize. And bring that all to the forefront. So I think it really just comes down to starting the conversation and including them in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with everything.
We just talked about maternity leave, and you might know that many countries in Europe are starting to force men into paternity leave at one point to take over a few weeks at least and see what it is to be a stay-at-home dad and take care of them.
We're going back to work. We're going back to work
immediately. I heard too many of these stories. I have a few friends who had great careers before giving birth, and the whole setup was, okay, I'm going to go back to work once I give birth and my husband will stay at home. Oh my God, how those husbands were fighting to go back to work.
I bet.
Theory. It's great. It's theory. Kimberly gave us a question, which Kimberly will definitely talk about this a little later. I would like to talk to you. I would like to about your personal experiences, and you are all mothers, and I would like to hear how do you manage it? What is important for you personally as a working mother?
I can go first.
Your tools and solutions.
Like the kids are eating in quiet for the moment, so I take advantage of the quiet. For me, it's so different now being an entrepreneur alongside of Janelle and having that support and the flexibility that I need to be both, as compared to my prior career in finance, where no one understood me, no one cared what I needed, what I wanted, how I was feeling, anything like that. So personally, I would say that working with Janelle has literally changed my life. And I know in the very early stages of executive doula, we would have conversations about, anything internal wouldn't be done before 10 a.m. We're all on the same, her and I are on the same time zone, and, things like that, to give yourself time in the morning to start your day and to and to ease into it, do what you need to do before you dive into work. I have a half a day. He's fine. I have a half a day of daycare because I can't afford a full day right now. But, childcare and things like that, they're just so precious, but that's really the only way to survive. Cause I don't know how anyone could do it with a full-time, full-time toddler at home. But, having the flexibility and the understanding of your coworkers, that's just everything to me. Even this morning, I'm pregnant right now. And so I'm kind of like taking myself through our service as we go, just, like, what do I need? What would, what makes my life easier? Stuff like that. And we had a team call, and I was like, Janelle, I'm going to have to get off at, 15 minutes early because I woke up this morning and my son had been playing in the car yesterday, and he must have left something on, and my car battery was dead, and I didn't make it to my chiropractic appointment, and my right glute hurts so bad I can barely walk because of this pregnancy, and all these things. Like, if I was working for a corporation, I wouldn't be able to talk to my manager that way. And it's such a special blessing that I have this time around, that I want every mom to have. I don't want it to be taboo. I don't think you need to divulge every detail. Janelle and I are obviously close like that, but just to be able to be honest and say, something really important came up. Like, I'm not going to be able. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't stay on the call this long. And it just be okay. Mm-hmm. Because this kind of stuff comes up all the time.
So we're coming back to the expectations and to the understanding of what it means to have a job and kids at home.
Right. And even if, 5 things come up in 1 week, rather than focusing on something always comes up, focus on, but she got all her stuff done, or she's still a great employee, or she's still, focusing on that rather than, the quote unquote negative things, the things that get such a negative stigma, like, oh, she wasn't at the office from 9 to 6, 9 to 7 every single day. It's like, nobody is working from 9 to 7, like nobody. You can't be a productive person from 9 to 7 every single day. It's just not possible. So even if you are in the office, chances are you are not working from 9 to 6, 9 to 7. So having that flexibility and the ability to talk about it, and whatever it may be. Maybe it's not something that came up. Maybe it's an actual issue that you're having. Like if you suffer a loss or you suffer something, like just being able to be honest and understand that that's what's going on, and you're given the flexibility that you need to be productive. And I have that now, as opposed, and I have something to compare it to where it was the complete opposite. And that's been my survival. It's being able to be open and honest and flexible.
Thank you, Lindsey. And I want to put it out again that this is possible because you and Janelle are working together and have your own running business. But we, as I hear, we want larger companies and corporations, to provide this understanding and this flexibility for all women.
I can speak to that. So prior to executive doula, and the way I've been able to manage my career when it was in a corporate space and have 4 children.
4 children.
I created what I call my own personal board of directors to help me uncompartmentalize my life. So people I could talk to. So essentially what Lindsey is doing and what I have internalized with my own company is what I used to do in my life, is surround myself with people who I can talk about the personal and the professional, because one impacts the other. And like we've heard, it's hard to kind of beat around the bush and not really say what the problem is when there is a problem. So I call my personal board of directors a diverse group of individuals. So male, female, Black, white, Asian, who all don't look exactly like me, but they work in a corporate setting to help me navigate my career as a parent. And some are parents and some aren't parents, because I need to hear what the non-parent is thinking. And I need to run by them a situation and language, and maybe compose an email I need to send out. I need to run this email by that person to get their perspective and opinion. And it has been very helpful. And someone gave me this advice when I was actually an intern in college. So many, many moons ago, and said, when you graduate and you start out in your career, and my first job was actually at the NFL. So it was a corporate place that was not built essentially for women. And they said, make sure you create with, a personal network, a small group of 5 or 6 people that are your go-to, and they will change throughout your life, but make sure you always have that. And some people are internal and some people are external. And it's been like one of the things I'm consistent with. And I would say it's like my tool that I use to have helped me navigate being a career working mom.
I would say that the thing that has helped me the most is really changing my mindset about what work is. And I'm coming from a bit of a different environment. I'm not corporate 9 to 5, but I am in. I've been in an academic setting, which has its own challenges. It's not 9 to 5, but there's this expectation that you're producing and you're churning out, you're writing, you're researching, you're doing all of this stuff. And so for me, it really took a mindset of allowing myself to not live up to that pressure of trying to always be productive, because it was going to take me off balance. And so I really worked hard to sort of practice what I preach in my own, being a mother pushed me to be an entrepreneur and to start my own clinical and consulting practice, and to build in the type of flexibility and scheduling and just lifestyle practices that I was teaching other women, but that I wanted to have for myself. And so for me, it was really a mindset shift that work is sometimes rest. Work is time to stop and reflect, to take stock, to make sure my routine is on point, to make sure I'm grounded and centered, and to not, the same way that we're saying, like, you have to invest in mothers right after childbirth and support them, we have to do that for ourselves. And so I had made a decision that I was not going to work myself to death. I was not going to lose sleep, consistently and have my health suffer. Like, all of those things were part of building the building blocks for the type of balance that I, was preaching to the clients and the women that I work with through my practice and my coaching programs, but that I really had to dig deep and make sure I practice for myself.
Thank you. I have so many questions for you guys. I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, we only have 15 minutes more. One of you, I forgot, I think it was Nicole. Nicole, I think you, in your answers to me, you were talking about all these different roles we are playing.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a very, very interesting topic for working mothers and mothers in general, women in general today, that there is this fake new ideal of a woman who looks like a supermodel, is sporty, takes care of her health, meditates every day, works for 10 hours, has 3 beautiful children, cooks organic food, and has a passion on the side. And then on the weekends, I don't know what. How do we, as normal women, not this fake ideal, how do we deal with this? How do we defend ourselves from this crazy fake supermother that I don't know where God created where and how? How do we do that?
Well, I reject that wholeheartedly. And I think, Janelle, you were talking about your own personal board of directors, like your personal, allies. I surround myself with people who affirm who I am. And sometimes that means tuning out the images, the ideals, the expectations that don't align with my values. And I wholeheartedly reject that. I think it's unhealthy. And it's not realistic. As you said, it's fake, but it takes a deliberate, intentional effort to reject that and to not, because we can all fall prey to as you said, why didn't I meditate, or why didn't I do this? And it can happen slowly. So you have to remind yourself, literally, no, the life I'm building is in alignment with what I've, decided. Hopefully you've done the inner work to decide what it is that you're striving for, what you want, and to sort of reject. Now I look at social media more as connecting with old friends and making the kind of sort of business connections in different groups and things like that. But other than that, as far as it showing me what my life should be like, no, I reject it completely. And it's
totally agree with that.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, you have to reject it. And what I said earlier, you have to talk about it too, right? I talk about my failures as much as I talk about my successes. And when I do that, people feel comfortable sharing their reality with me rather than putting on this facade that they have it together all the time, because we just don't. It's not possible. And I don't think that we should feel like we have to. And there is so much content out there on social media of people projecting this fake life that they have, that they live. And it's not healthy. I mean, so many people compare themselves to that and judge themselves and put pressure on themselves. And when you sit there and you say, well, guess what? I spent the whole day in pajamas and I fed my kids chips for dinner. And that's just what I needed to do to survive. And everyone's going to be fine. My kid got 6 hours of screen time today. And, and that's just okay. But maybe tomorrow we're going to do a little bit better, just talking, the more I talk about it and share it, other people share it, and they feel more comfortable, just being the mom that they need to be to get by in the tough times, and, celebrating the wins, but not getting too down on yourself for the quote unquote failures, which aren't really failures. They're just, you just have it a day.
And I think that takes growth too. So I think it's important for women who've been there, done that, who have kids, who are in a relationship. It's important for them to show it's not perfect. On social media, people who follow me know on my personal page, I will post a picture of me sitting around with loads of laundry, my husband sleep. This is not the ideal lifestyle you think is happening with, a good relationship with 4 kids. He's sleeping.
Janelle, we did that picture of behind the desk. It was we had our,
yes,
we looked all pretty and put together, but then behind our computers, there was all of this stuff, and unapologetically doing the panel in front of stuffed animals.
Yeah.
and that's what it takes. I think is, we have to share those stories. Women who've been through, who've been on a roller coaster ride have to show the younger women that are coming up who are new mothers, it's okay. Like the fake stuff you see on social media, like it's almost impossible and you will drive yourself crazy if that's your bar. Like if you're trying to achieve that, I tell people some weeks I'm trying to do yoga and some weeks I'm trying to sleep. Like my goals, like if I'm meditating, I'm not working out. Meditating is working out. Like it's not all happening at one time in one day. When I look like this here on the top, on the bottom, I have on pajama pants.
Like y'all have on slippers and
it's not all pretty. It is not all pretty.
And it's okay.
It's okay. And I'm comfortable with it and I'm confident and I'm not stressed about it at all.
Nope. I have a child jumping in a crib right now. But like I can still talk to you. You know what I mean?
Ladies, my last question, maybe because of Thank You, Mama, and maybe because I'm all about legacy and learning from previous generations, what advice would you give your daughters to help them balance work and life and just be a happier professional woman?
Advocate for yourself. I do that now with my daughters. I have 2 daughters and 2 sons, and especially my girls, they play on sporting teams, they're in activities. Use your voice and advocate for yourself. If you're uncomfortable, if someone is going against something you want to do that you know is not right, speak up, even at this age. And my youngest one has it down to a science, almost too much. But speak up for yourself, because when you're comfortable using your voice, you will do it in the workplace. You will do it as a mother. You will do it for your children and for yourself. So I think that that's like a constant piece of advice that I'm always giving my girls, and I hope they stick to it as they become mothers themselves.
Thank you, Janelle. Nicole?
I always I have 2 daughters as well, and I'm constantly talking to them about how important it is to believe in yourself, to embrace fear, that fear is normal. We're going to experience it. You can be afraid and you can still move forward, to still, no matter what, believe in yourself, that we all make mistakes. Like I just, these little throughout the day, I show them my, they see me not made up. And when I'm tired and I talk to them about boundaries, I say like, mommy, okay, after 8 o'clock, mommy needs downtime. Mommy can't be listening and doing everything. So I try to just show them sort of just normal life, and that the only person whose real opinion matters is your own when it comes to your own life and your own experiences. So really just encouraging them to know who they are, feel comfortable, know that life has its ups and downs, and we just keep on ticking. That's what we do. But we still try to just affirm ourselves and believe in ourselves.
Thank you.
And so I have a son, and next will be a daughter.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I think about this question all the time. And one thing that I really want to share with her, along with all of those things, because I agree with everything Janelle and Nicole said, is that, when you need help, ask for help. I think there is such a stigma around asking for help, and so many strong women have this type A personality where they think they need to do it all on their own, and they don't. Like, you are not in this by yourself. If you need help with something, just ask for it. A million people will jump to your support. They will get on your side. They will do what you need. And that's a bit of advice that I always share with new moms too, is, you don't have to do it all. And when you need help, people will want to help you.
And it's a whole other topic that I would love to discuss with you, but we're running out of time. It's the village that we don't have anymore. The village that now we have to get used to the fact that we have to pay for the village. And it's okay to pay for the village, because the village, 50 years ago, the village was there.
Right. But the more we sprawl from our initial village, the more we lose that concept. And, you have to build those relationships, and you have to talk to your people, and you have to call on them when you need them.
Yes. And not think that you have to do everything yourself.
Yep.
When I lived abroad, I just had so much help with my kids, and every woman did. Every working woman and women did. And a friend of mine said, in America, women do all of this by themselves. She was like, oh, I just feel so sad.
It just doesn't even occur to most people to help you. Even if they've gone through it themselves, they're not thinking, like, even when they've gone through it themselves, they're not thinking that I should help the next person.
Yep.
It's like
practical help. Yeah, just simple practical help. I'll take the baby so you can shower. So you have 15 minutes to shower.
You are not offending me.
We have one question from our dear listeners. I want to say listeners. Maybe I'm too much of a podcaster. Kimberly's asking, do you think more businesses should have an in-office childcare?
If it makes I'll take this really quick because this is something we actually talked about not too long on a team call. Is some businesses who are doing phenomenal at having childcare on site or like near if there is a campus type setting. And I'll give a great example who I actually admire is Patagonia. That many people probably heard of that company. They are have always been ranked as like the top working place for parents, and they do have childcare on site, and it's how they started. So the thought of working mothers is ingrained in their fabric. It wasn't a second thought. I think there's some companies and businesses, and just as I thought about this and I talk with people like in the DC and metropolitan areas, it actually may not be feasible. But when it's not feasible, is there a way that the company can supplement childcare? Is there a way that they can do a co-op or a partnership with a childcare company in which you can receive a reduced rate or extended hours or something like that? I think if we really want to solve this problem, company can get very creative about how they can help. As fast as I can get an Amazon package, and Amazon has figured out how to deliver anything, anywhere within 24 hours, we can figure out how to solve childcare issues for working women. That's my thought. It's not complicated. It's that simple.
Exactly.
Thank you, Janelle.
I just thought about that Amazon thing today, like how it evolved and how they have their own network and delivery trucks. So we have the intellectual brain power to make this work-life balance.
Yeah, we got it. It's not a priority. We don't want to do it.
Well, let's use it to help people. We said, business is business. It's easy to do things when you're earning money with them, but let's start thinking like mothers and help people.
Right. They'll be more productive and actually making more money.
Yep. If we have any other questions, please put them in the chat quickly. Otherwise, I'll say thank you so much to these amazing, amazing ladies. It was really my honor to talk to you today. I could talk to you for hours, and I will send you invitations to Thank You Mama. I would be very, very glad to welcome you and talk more. Anything else you'd like to add to our conversation today?
I think we covered it. I mean, this is one of those conversations we could talk about all day.
Yes.
We got a lot covered, though. I'm impressed with us.
Me too.
Thank you so much for hosting and moderating and asking such great questions. It's a very relevant topic. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much, ladies. Yes. Bye-bye.
Connect.
Bye.
Bye.